Imagine a theater where the show only begins when you fall asleep, where you are simultaneously the audience, the director, and the protagonist of a play you don't always understand. For millennia, humanity has looked back at those nocturnal narratives, wondering, are they a message from the gods, the murmur of our own mind, or simply the static noise of a brain at rest? This is the enigma of dreams, a battlefield where Sigmund Freud's psychological intuition clashes with the cold, hard data of modern neuroscience. Are dreams truly the royal road to the unconscious, or have we been searching for deep meanings in what is nothing more than random neuronal fire? The birth of the unconscious, the Freudian revolution. At the dawn of the 20th century, Sigmund Freud published The Interpretation of Dreams, a book that aimed to map nothing less than an unknown continent, the human mind. His proposal was as audacious as it was simple. Dreams are not absurd, but complex and significant psychological acts. For Freud, every dream was a hieroglyph hiding a secret message. He developed a precise anatomy of the dream, dividing it into two layers. On one hand, the manifest content, the surreal and often confusing plot we remember upon waking, full of disjointed images and illogical jumps. Beneath this surface lies the latent content, the true repressed wishes, conflicts, and childhood memories, too disturbing for the conscious mind to tolerate. The mechanism that transforms the latent into the manifest he called dream work, a process of censorship and disguise that uses tools like displacement, when the emotional charge of something important is transferred to a trivial detail, condensation. Several ideas or people merge into a single dream image, and the most famous symbolization, where common objects represent taboo concepts like an umbrella possibly being a phallic symbol. His celebrated conclusion was that the dream is the disguised fulfillment of a repressed wish. To decipher this code, he relied on free association, where the patient, starting from each element of the dream, would verbalize without filter everything that came to mind, thus weaving a web of meanings leading back to the original conflict. The laboratory revolution, the brain under the microscope. For decades, Freudian theory reigned almost unchallenged. But then, science entered the stage with new tools. The discovery of REM, rapid eye movement, sleep in 1953 proved that sleep was not a passive state, but a period of intense brain activity. This led to purely biological theories that directly challenged Freud. The most compelling was the activation synthesis model by J. Allen Hobson and Robert McCarley. This theory proposes a much more prosaic view. During REM sleep, the brainstem generates random electrical signals, pure neural noise. The cerebral cortex, the seat of our narrative and our sense of self, receives this chaotic bombardment and, in a desperate attempt to make sense of it, synthesizes a cohesive story from the disorder. The bizarreness of dreams, according to this model, is not a symbolic disguise, but the direct result of this hurried synthesis of random activation, a process in which, crucially, the prefrontal cortex, our center of logic and self-control, is mostly disconnected. Dreaming, in essence, would be like listening to an orchestra without a conductor. Each musician, each neuron plays their own part, and your mind tries to compose a symphony with the notes it hears. An unexpected dialogue. When neuroscience meets Freud, it seemed like the end of psychoanalysis. However, the story took an intriguing turn. More recent research using technologies like fMRI has begun to reveal that the activity of the sleeping brain is less random than the activation synthesis model suggested. A 2025 meta-analysis reviewing 22 neuroimaging studies even suggested that brain patterns during sleep seem to support the idea of meaningful processing more than a mere synthesis of noise. Modern neuroscience has identified crucial functions for sleep that, curiously, resonate with some Freudian intuitions, albeit for completely different reasons. Far from being a mere epiphenomenon, dreaming appears to be fundamental for processing memory and learning. transferring memories from the hippocampus to long-term storage in the cortex. It also acts as a nocturnal emotional regulator, where the brain, in a safe environment with low levels of the stress hormone norepinephrine, reprocesses and dampens the emotional charge of the day's experiences. And it even functions as a creativity workshop, allowing the brain, freed from the constraints of logic, to connect disparate ideas and generate novel solutions, an idea captured in the next up theory. Most fascinating is that brain scans show that during sleep, regions deeply linked to emotional and autobiographical life are intensely activated. The limbic system, with the amygdala at the forefront of emotional response, and the hippocampus, the filing cabinet of memory. This coordinated activation suggests that the brain is not simply making noise, but is busy reviewing, sorting, and integrating the most personal and affect-laden material we possess. Our own experiences. The true meaning. A bridge between two worlds. So who was right? Was Freud a visionary or a charlatan? The answer is not black and white and lies at a fascinating midpoint. Neuroscience has convincingly dismantled most dogmatic aspects of Freudian theory. There is no universal dream dictionary where tigers always mean anger and rivers sexuality. The origin of dreams does not appear to be a repressed sexual desire seeking to escape from an unconscious dungeon. However, Freud's central intuition that dreams have to do with our conflicts, emotions, and personal experiences finds an unexpected echo in modern science. Dreams are meaningful, but not because they are encoded messages from a Freudian unconscious. They are meaningful because they are a direct reflection of the maintenance work our brain performs every night, a process that prioritizes emotional and autobiographical material. Dreaming is, in essence, like watching the internal press briefings our brain sends to itself, reporting on what has been learned, what has been felt, and what needs to be integrated into the story of who we are. The next time you remember a dream, don't look for a hidden meaning in an isolated symbol. Instead, ask yourself, what emotion permeated the dream? What concern or theme from my waking life was present, even in a distorted form? Your dream is probably not the fulfillment of a repressed wish, but it is very likely living proof of your brain doing what it does best, digesting your life so you can face a new day.